Welcome to the 39th episode of Generation Gap Book Reviews. I'm Christy the Mom.
And I'm Lena the daughter.
In this episode, we are going to review The Sea Before Us by Sarah Sundin. This is the first book in a series of 3. I first came about this book in kind of a backwards way because early in my getting back into reading and then actually starting to write reviews on my blog and everything back in 2019, I found out about NetGalley, which is a website that you can use to that connects advanced reader copies from authors and publishers with readers so that they can get reviews out there on new books. So if you've ever seen a book that just came out but there's already reviews and there's buzz about it and stuff, that's pretty much because of advanced reader copies. And I thought, well, this sounds fun. I get to read books before they come out to be part of the buzz. So I signed up for it, and after I figured out how you have to kind of build your profile up a little bit before anybody will even accept you to read books. One of the first books I came across in the Christian genre section was called The Land Beneath Us by Sarah Sundin, and it was the third book in a series. But in a lot of these kind of series, they're standalone. So I thought, well, sounds interesting. Let me read it, and I loved it. So I thought, well, now I got to read the rest of these books. So that's how I started. So I read The Land Beneath Us, which is number 3, first, and then I read the other 2 in the correct order, and then now I'm actually going back through and reading them in the right order anyway. They are basically standalones, but there is an arc that we'll end up talking about at some point that runs through all of them that makes it better to read them in order. But that's how I came across this book. And Lena, you pretty much just came across it because I said, this is a really good series. You should read it, right?
Yeah. It took you a while to actually tell me to read it. Like you would talk about it.
And you're sitting back going, I'm not going to put it on my TBR until she actually tells me I should.
I do that. Actually, I do that because you're like, if you're like talking about a book several times and I'm like, is she going to tell me to read it already?
I shouldn't have to tell you to read it. You got to make your own decisions. Come on. So, how about I just give the synopsis?
Go ahead. There's a sea before us. That's the synopsis.
The book takes place during World War II, and the main male character, is named Wyatt Paxton. He's one of 3 brothers who, basically the book opens with kind of an incident with the 3 brothers, like a tragic incident. And Wyatt does something that he regrets, and then he compounds that with something else that he regrets, and he runs away from home, basically. Now these are men. These are
men.
These are young men. These are young men, not children or anything, but they're all not too far out of like college or high school age, I believe. But they all still live near each other, and they have plans for what they're going to do, and he basically screws up at least his own and runs away and joins the Navy. And, of course, joining the Navy means he's going to be involved in World War II. He ends up in England, and in England, he ends up meeting the female main character named Dorothy Fairfax. She's a first officer in the Women's Royal Naval Service. The United States and the British are working together to plan the invasion of Normandy, and so they both, in their own divisions, their own departments, end up working together some. The series is called
Sunrise at Normandy.
Yes, so it's not exactly a spoiler because of the series name to say that Normandy is part of the story. And actually, the interesting thing about the series is that all 3 of the books involve the 3 different brothers being involved in Normandy, and that's as much as I will say about the other 2 books right now.
Yeah, because I haven't read them.
Lena, what did you like about this book?
I have started realizing that I like World War II stuff and learning about World War II and stuff that relates to World War II. So I was very interested in this.
Okay.
And the romance was very interesting. Slow burn in a book.
Yeah, it's a very common thing in Christian historical fiction genre that it's romance. Mm-hmm. But my favorite ones are the ones where the romance is in it, but it's not the whole goal of the book.
Yeah.
So the romance wasn't right there in your face the whole point of the book. There's so much more going on. What else?
I don't know too much about the Navy, so I feel like I know a little bit more. I feel like I have a little bit more in my noggin about the Navy, a bit more information.
I'm not a historian. I don't know a lot of history stuff, but from what I understand, Sarah Sundin does a lot of research for these books because she's pretty much firmly entrenched in the World War II era in her books. And the main task that Dorothy was working on for the British military was really, really fascinating to me that because her family used to take vacations in the area in France and around the Normandy area. Her and some other women who also had some kind of knowledge of the area were tasked with
Mm,
making sure maps were accurate and helping
yeah.
them figure out where buildings were and stuff like that so they could get their maps accurate for the Normandy invasion. It makes sense, but I don't know that I ever would have thought that they would be that I would have
Yeah.
that I would have really ever understood that that's something they would have to do.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they might just use satellites for everything. I don't know. But back in that era, they wouldn't have really had that kind of technology as much. So her job was really interesting to me, and a lot of the stuff about the Navy and the war and how they all work together and stuff was interesting to me as well. What else?
I think that's all I have to say because I
Well,
can't think of anything.
so as we talked about, the romance isn't the entire purpose of the book, and Dorothy also had she lives with her dad, and there's this whole subplot
Oh
about her dad and
yeah.
his business and
That's
things
yeah.
that are like not quite showing up right in the books and stuff. And Wyatt has a accounting background, so she asks
Yeah.
him to help maybe kind of
That
look
was
into
very
this.
interesting.
And he keeps coming over and having dinner with her and her dad and stuff. And like she's a really good daughter. And she takes care of her dad, even though her dad has never treated her all that great.
Mhm.
And she had like a few brothers who went off to war, and I think they may have all died.
I think
And her
so.
dad is, mourning that, and her mom's gone. Anyway, so she just feels like she's the only one left for her dad, but he doesn't really care about her. But she still takes care of him. And this whole subplot with her dad and his business and everything, I really liked it. How it all worked out. It was really good. So really what that means is I liked the subplots. I liked the characters. Dorothy herself I didn't like as much. We'll get to her a little bit more when we get to what we didn't like. But Wyatt was a character I really liked. He had a lot of depth. He was written really well. His dialogue was written really well. I had a really easy time imagining his southern drawl because he's from Texas. His whole family's from Texas.
Oh yeah.
And what he's going through as in the aftermath of what happened with his brothers at the very beginning of the book, it's just you really feel for him, and he's just a really well drawn character.
Mhm.
And I think that's it. So, what did you not like about this book? I have a feeling we both have the same main thing.
Dorothy felt too naive and stupid. That's in a nice way, in a polite way.
She was stupid in a nice way.
There was like she was like obsessed with this one guy, and like it was just like you're oblivious to so much. She felt very naive, and she just annoyed me a lot.
Dorothy has her eyes set on a guy named Lawrence. I think he was a friend of one of her brothers. So in a way, they grew up together. She was always like the little girl or the little kid that tagged along, and she's always had a huge crush on him. And now she's grown up, and he's actually given her the time of day. She overheard him tell somebody that
Her
he likes
brother,
women who are
Urbane Drew.
droll, not drool. He doesn't like women that drool.
No, that'd be like the opposite of what he wants. And composed.
Composed. So
Composed.
basically,
Words.
fancy, refined, and yet,
I have no personality.
yeah, pretty much. And but then weirdly enough, he also wants her to be a risk taker because he wants to take her on a date, like to fly up in the sky when they really weren't supposed to. And
She was scared of heights, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
and
was.
he kind of manipulated her into doing it anyway.
God.
So he wants a woman who is willing to take risks, but is also like really suave and refined. That's not
Yeah.
really the same woman, but anyway. Another the whole point
She.
is he has a specific type, a very very specific type, and she said, "I'm going to be that woman for him."
Yeah.
Now, this isn't unrealistic. Women do this kind of thing. My problem came with how long it took her
Yeah.
to realize how
'Cause
stupid she was being.
she she dragged it on for way too
Way
long.
too long. So that was my main dislike for this book.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think it was harder for me at the end to like process what was happening, but I think it was okay.
Process, like you mean during the actual Normandy invasion?
Yeah.
Yes, I think with Sarah Sundin books, and actually probably it's probably not with Sarah Sundin books, but especially when she's got them in when it's related to ships in the Navy ships and stuff.
Mhm.
She gets into details where I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
I'll just skim over it until I get to
Yeah.
where I can find out what just happened
Yeah.
because I don't really know, and we move on. So
Yeah.
I live with it.
Kind of
I
like
read other books like that too that are too
forget.
technical
I
or
forget ships have names until they're like named. And I'm like, what are you talking? Oh,
you forget
it's
they have
the-
names until they're named.
Yeah. like, like later on in the book, like after I'm supposed to already know what the ship's name
Oh.
is, they're like, blah blah blah, and I'm like, what are we talking about right now? Oh right, the ship.
And it's in italics, so that should help you remember. Should stand out to you. Ship
Yeah,
names are in
that's why
italics.
it does. That's why it does stand out. Where I'm like, what is?
I gotcha.
Oh right.
All right. Well, anything else?
No, do
What do you
you?
no? What do you rate this book?
I rated it 4 stars.
That's what I gave it to.
Wow, twinsies. Oh,
Doesn't
that's
happen
really
real
bad.
often, does it? Unless
No,
we
it
just
doesn't.
both love a book and give it 5 stars. But
Yeah.
anything less than 5, we don't normally have the same.
Yeah.
And who do you recommend it to besides people?
Oh, so close. I literally started sounding the P when you said that. Alright, so I will recommend it to people who are probably like 14 and up. And then adults, of course, because it's adult fiction. But like, and if you're like a history buff, a World War II buff, any of those kind of things, or if you're interested in that sort of things, just, it's a good book for that. Even if you're just interested in Navy, I feel like it's a good book. Or Army in general.
Military in general.
Military, that's what I meant.
I figured that's what you meant.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think that generally speaking, people who enjoy Christian fiction, Christian historical fiction in particular, or Christian romance, you don't have to be a huge fan of romance to like this book because, like we said, the romance is more of a subtle part of it.
Hmm.
But there's definitely the Christian. I mean, it's not. We didn't say anything about a Christian angle, and it's not
Oh,
super strong, but it's got forgiveness. There's kind of a theme of forgiveness in it and stuff like that. So,
I wrote down a quote from this book actually in my quotes book.
and you remember it now?
Yeah, I think it was pretty much it was like you talk about God forgiving you but when you can't even forgive yourself.
Oh.
And I was like, ooh,
Well, I think that's it for this book then. Like I said before, this is the first book in a trilogy,
trilogy.
and
I will be reading it and she will be rereading
yeah,
it.
I've read the whole thing, and I wanted to read it again in order so I could get the fullness more of the
Yeah.
brothers' side story, and I'm sure we'll revisit it as we read them.
Join us next time when we will be reviewing Edgeland by Jake Halpern and Peter Kujawinski.
Which is a follow-up book to which one that we reviewed in the past?
Nightfall!
Gee whiz. Until next time, I'm Christy.
And I'm Lena.
And this is
Generation Gap Book Reviews.